Good morning. It is day 38. And this morning, as I was exploring topics for this talk, I was actually looking for one thing in some old journal entries and came across something else and thought, this is it for today. And it's the idea of how we break bad habits. And I have had one that I tend to say I inherited from my dad. And it is a problem with sugar. And when I look back at growing up and even the first job I ever had of framing houses with my dad, the day started with breakfast. About mid-morning, there was a snack that was typically a soda and a pack of crackers. Then there was lunch. Then there was an afternoon snack that was typically another soda and something sweet, whether it was a candy bar or some kind of a cake, that sort of thing. And then there was dinner, and there was typically something after dinner. In my dad's case, it was a Little Debbie cake, which I'm dating myself when I say that. But I watched that pattern my whole life. And years ago, I recognized, oh my God, I gotta quit eating so much sugar. And I've tried over the last few years at different times to just, okay, I need to stop doing this. And the challenge is I could do real well with it for maybe a few days. If there was really a focused effort for something, I might be able to make it for a few weeks. But then it sort of starts creeping back in to what you do every day. And I'm talking about one kind of habit, but this can apply to anything, whether it's a habit with something that you eat, whether it's a toxic relationship that you keep getting dragged back into, if it's the tendency to isolate when things are not going well. And what I have discovered, at least for myself with the sugar thing, is a few weeks ago, I started researching some things about sugar and how it impacts the brain, and realizing that when I'm eating carbs, they're actually feeding the desire for sugar. And my thought process this morning was, okay, so I've been feeding that for years, unknowingly, or maybe subconsciously knowing it, but not wanting to really admit that I needed to stop eating so many carbs. So a few weeks ago, I decided I'm gonna adopt more of a low carb, higher fat kind of diet and see if it will help with the cravings. And amazingly, it has. And I'm not advocating a low carb, high fat diet for anybody. You have to figure out what works for you. Again, this is just an example. But what I've realized is that so many times when we have a recurring behavior that we don't want to do, but we do it, which even the Apostle Paul talked about, I do what I don't want to do and I don't do what I want to do. It is the fact that we are feeding that thing unknowingly. And it takes digging into the root of a problem in order to be able to actually solve it. So if it turns out that you have a toxic relationship that you keep getting dragged back into, what in your life is feeding that desire to always go back? Is it the fact that you don't have healthy relationships elsewhere? So if you take this as addressing the root, maybe the better fix for it, instead of saying, I'm not gonna do that again, I'm not gonna do that again, I'm not gonna do that again, is, okay, what is it that's missing from your life that would just very organically allow you to remove that habit from your life with way more ease than you ever imagined? As I said, when I've tried to give up sugar in the past, it was just a fight some days, every hour of the day, to not go pick up something sweet. And now I can walk past those things and the desire still may be there, but I start thinking in terms of, okay, what could I have that fits with this new way of eating? And I can still have the sugar later if I just absolutely have to have it, but chances are pretty good that there's something else that needs to be fed. And if I can feed that, I can stop feeding the sugar. So what habit do you have in your life that you need to find something that's not feeding that thing and start building better nutrition into your day, better relationships into your life? I'm sure there's a plethora of examples out there, but look for something that will help replace feeding that negative thing. I'd love to know what your outcome is. It's day 38. I am signing off, and I'll see you tomorrow.